soon as he starts recording, we can all start screaming.
Oh, no, I'm already recording, so.
Ah!
Thank you. Okay.
Cut.
So if we could just go around and introduce our characters, like I said, just 1 to 3 sentences at most. Give us a snapshot of who you are. And who wants to go first?
I'll
me,
go.
please.
I'll go.
Alicia.
My name is Zira. My pronouns are they, them. I have been in an insane asylum for about 4 years now, ever since I lost my ability to stay in the heavens. My deity, El Shaddai, is doing other things at the moment. Don't blame them. We love them. Praise El Shaddai. But it did cause me to lose a lot of my powers and my original form. So now I'm stuck in the human world. I can still hear my other heads. They can still take over. But I am trying to get back to where I was, although I do have a lovely counselor who thinks that she's helping me. Thanks. And right now things are just a little bit crazy, but you know, I'm doing the best that I can with what I have, and El Shaddai seems to have put her phone, as it were, on silent, but you know, I'm sure she's still there for me.
Okay. And as a note, one of the things in the mechanics of this is that when you're doing a thing, it's easier to accomplish the thing if you have it. If you have help in a relatively significant kind of way. So, as you're listening to the other players, you don't have to directly thread yourself into them, but if you see opportunities for later on, a way that you can engage them, kind of make that note to yourself. Because those kinds of introductions are kind of on you guys. I might kind of like put you in the same spot at the same time, but otherwise, whether or not, like how well you get on and all that, that's on you guys. Okay, who wants to go next?
I'll go next.
Okay.
So, my character is Shay. She is like a seductive assassin, and she transforms into Kitten, which is a large Bengal tiger. She is magical, so she is a witch, but she has no fine motor movement to her magical skills. So if she's trying to send, say, a piece of paper to you across the room, she might move a house or a building, like, accidentally. My character is wearing a key on a necklace around her neck, and it kind of serves as a warning for people that understand it. She wears boots all the time, carries a knife in her boot, and she's from a big city, so she's just kind of transferred here from, like, New York City.
Cool.
There's a knife in my boot.
Family or business?
Business.
Business.
Secret business, but business.
God, it's so hard to write when I'm hiccuping. So, as a note, whatever organizations are in charge of keeping the secret world secret, you're on their radar.
Oh,
Yeah.
hi.
Hence those kind of connections I was mentioning. Okay, who's next?
I can go next.
Okay, Randy.
My character is Chris Mardell. I am a local private eye investigator, and I write for the tabloids. I'm not from the Wichita area. I'm from one of the suburbs that is outside and moved in so I could help write for the tabloids. I'm currently on a no-call, no-talk with my deity. Called the Chain One. We met up once, hammered it out, never talked to me again.
Don't you hate it when that happens?
Dude, we should form like a support group.
Outside of that, most of the time I'm out in public cafes or coffee shops trying to convince people of the stuff that I'm hearing around town, and I'm trying to drum up business doing private eye. Not really much after that.
Okay.
Oh, and the editor for my news, I guess, or the tabloid I work for is James Johnson.
Okay. Okay.
Just to play on John Jameson from Spider-Man.
J. Jonah Jameson?
J. Jonah Jameson.
Okay. Who's next?
I'll go.
Okay.
My character is Doyle Apollon. He is a pharmacist. While he was in med school, his best friend came down with a magical disease, and he turned to the supernatural to find a way to cure it. He didn't plan on it, but ended up getting turned into a vampire and joining a vampire coven. But luckily, that gave him the resources he needed to find out that there might be some kind of cure here. So he moved here after receiving some rudimentary training in how to be a vampire and how not to get caught. And he's just hoping that he can find somebody who knows the information he needs.
Cool. And one of the things that's kind of come up in previous campaigns is that I'm kind of rolling with it. We've kind of introduced the idea that, I mean, we all know that, like, the Cokes are big around here. In this fictionalized version of Wichita, there are other names that are also just huge business. The Wichita vortex is such that whatever happens in Wichita spirals out to the rest of the country. So if you're trying to make a change in the world, this is a surprisingly apt place to do it on a magical level. So one of the families that had previous campaigns has had a presence was the Sacklers, with major drug, like big pharma and all of that, but with some magical elements to them as well. So like that kind of ties in with some of the other stuff that's probably going on in the Wichita area.
Yeah, like that might be the lead he heard about.
Yes, and that kind of research is the kind of thing that it's being done here. Okay.
So my character is Ayn Fasal. She normally goes by Ayn. She looks to be about 21, and she is employed by the Lochlink Cabal, and that's Loch.
Okay. Let's say it again. For me.
Lochlink.
Okay.
And basically, this is kind of an underground, shadowy organization made up of both normal humans, humans with supernatural abilities, and supernatural creatures. And basically, their whole plan for the last several centuries has been to keep the cat in the bag, and now it's damage control. They're trying to... The cat's out of the bag in Wichita, but they're trying to keep at least a circle of bags around the cat.
Sure.
And
Okay.
her appearance is basically about shoulder length, straight, black hair, fairly pale, bright green eyes. It looks like she just fell into one of the clearance bins at Hot Topic.
Nice. Yeah, I was, like another metaphor that went through my head as you were describing that is, like if you're trying to talk about cats in bags, like you have 5 bags and there are 8 cats.
Yeah.
And this might work in theory, but
Yeah, and they always talk about the Veil, her quote-unquote mentor. There's no real ranks in the Cabal, but there's definitely unspoken ranks, people with more respect get certain benefits, but there's no like ranks. Everyone's supposed to be equals, but it's obviously not. One of the people she looks up to is Aegon, and he always talks about how you need to keep up the veil, you need to protect the veil, and the veil is important, the thin veneer between the supernatural and reality, and he's trying to explain this to somebody who can take off their head at will.
Right. Okay. And what do we got with Val?
So, my character is a city council member. His name is Nicholas St. James. You'll rarely find him not wearing a suit, even when he's gardening, because he's pretentious. I would probably put him on the moderate scale, just because he needs voters, and that's where he's at in his life.
Okay.
He is pretty much controlled by his family, who owns a very large portion of land all around Wichita. Like, they own several different estates. These estates might just happen to have corpses on the property under beds of roses. And his family might just happen to have a long history of necromancy. And his grandmother might be the matriarch of his entire family, who practices necromancy, and there's no one else he's more terrified of.
Did you happen
She
to
also
find,
runs the local country club.
Did you happen to find an old twisted tree at one of these places?
This country club. I think there could be a fun tie with that later. We'll have to talk about this. Okay.
Are we thinking of the specific country club?
The biggest one in town.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is it the one on
The
Rock?
one that
the
looks like a
Oppenheimer?
fucking
Is
castle.
this a country
Yeah.
club I'm supposed to know about?
When you're here long enough.
See, like, part of my question there is that my mind went somewhere that I didn't think you were going. Now that I've cemented with that question what you meant by country club, because I was actually imagining like club rodeo.
Oh, no.
That wouldn't have made any sense.
Or it's reverse.
Unless the grandmother really loves country music.
The country music is how they spread their message of necromancy.
You gotta take your dog back from death.
If you're looking for the biggest in Wichita, it's either Tallgrass or Crestview, or the biggest. country
Probably
club.
Crestview.
They're the ones that has like 20 buildings.
Yeah.
Scattered across the forest.
Okay. Are you still working with the pharmacy?
He is a licensed pharmacist, but
Yeah, he does some sort of pharmaceutical work.
he's probably going to get a temp job working at CVS or something. But he just moved here.
I'm getting complete like Herbert West Reanimator vibes.
Okay. So, where we're going to go from there, I'm going to do a quick cutscene to kind of establish something moving forward. Then what we're going to do is I will call, like, we have a volunteer who will say where they want their intro scene to be. The intro scenes are going to be fairly short. We have a lot of players here. But basically it's kind of, if this were a TV show and the camera was doing relatively quick cuts between each of these characters, what is your character doing? And I'll also use that as an opportunity to explain the mechanics as we go. So, and one of the things I had hoped to have prepared was like a check sheet of like the tutorial mode of like, okay, somebody needs to do this kind of thing, somebody needs to do it. Fuck it. We're doing it live.
Fuck it, we'll do it live.
Yes. So for the initial cutscene, and later on, it'll be possible to intervene in these kinds of cutscenes, but we'll get to that later. For right now, what I want you to imagine is that it is, I would say, about 1 o'clock in the morning. How late do the clubs in the Old Town run?
They
2 to 3.
close at 2:30.
Okay, so it's about 1 o'clock in the morning. We find ourselves on a brisk fall night. The weather hasn't quite turned just yet. Imagine 2 or 3 days ago. Rather than the wintry shit that we got last night.
Yeah.
It is the kind of night where it's brisk, maybe 60 degrees. The sky is covered with clouds. The moon isn't quite full, but it shines through. For those of you that would have magical sight, there are 2 other moons that are invisible to the mundane world that are slowly shifting through the night sky. With the clouds, there is a light drizzle that covers everything with this persistent dampness. The bricks of Old Town have a sheen to them as light flashes by. We see, and this version of Old Town is bigger than the one you're familiar with. The one that you're familiar with is almost entirely an entertainment district. This one takes the structure, the old brick warehouse structures, and just extends them, and not all of it has been turned into an entertainment district. So there are warehouses that are effectively abandoned, though we all know that they're not really. People who go to them range from teenagers to satanic cults.
Or, sometimes those are the same.
Right? Why not both? And in those parts of Old Town, things sometimes get a little dubious. Unlike in, regular Old Town, where
Yeah.
everything is peachy keen.
There's still a bit of a nightlife in this setup, other
Yeah.
than the shadow
Yeah. Like
reality.
about half of Old Town is exactly like what
Okay.
we know it as. The other half is actually, there is a regular underground concert that happens a couple times a year in like one of the basements in these warehouses. So in that, in the threshold between the entertainment district and the abandoned buildings is a bit fuzzy in some areas. Like, a drunk might accidentally go a little too far without realizing where they are. And that's where we find a young woman named Sarah and her friend Penny.
I'm assuming a different Sarah.
Yes.
No, it's
Okay.
Yeah,
See,
no,
this
no.
happens a lot. Okay.
You have to kill your real character so you can play your fake character.
Oh, no, I mean, you guys could theoretically exist in this fictionalized Wichita. If you choose to interact with yourselves, that would get
Ironically,
really
my
fucking meta.
girlfriend's name is Sarah, and her dog's name is Penny.
I don't think I knew. I know about Sarah, but I don't think I knew about Penny. So I'm gonna say I did not do that intentionally. But yeah, so Sarah and Penny have had just a little bit too much to drink, as
Sounds
one
about right.
does in this part of town,
Yeah.
and they find themselves on that threshold, with teetering drunken steps amidst the cobbled together. Old, worn down roads and the slickness from the drizzle. Sarah goes to lean against a wall for support and looks into a darkened alleyway. Not very far inside of it, she sees something that fills her with a great degree of discomfort. There are 3 bodies that have been laid out. Not in any particular fashion, but they appear to be withered husks who have been drained of everything. Not just blood, not just their souls, everything. They have a hollowed look to their faces and a pained expression. They are wearing clothes that make them look like they might have been in Old Town themselves. With a shriek, the scene ends. Penny slowly coming to grips enough to pull out her phone. Okay, so with that having been established, what we're going to do now is we will start doing the intro scenes. Again, these should be really quick. You might get 1 or 2 rolls in, and I'll explain how the rolls work as we do it. Does anybody want to jump in? Okay.
The camera, as that scream echoes out and the phone family comes out, the camera pulls up into an aerial view and goes about 5 or 6 blocks over towards the edge of the warehouse districts, just kind of where it starts to flatten out and sort of become, not suburban, but, like city area.
Mhm.
But you can still see warehouses coming to and
It's
through.
kind of like on the northern edge where you have like the
Yeah.
Hispanic area.
Like if you look, like if you're standing on this road, if you look
You
to the
okay?
left, you'd see houses. If you look to the right, you'd see warehouses.
Okay.
There is a man in a suit running, and he's looking over his shoulder. One of his shoes falls off, but he just keeps running, and he ducks into the warehouse district, and he's running straight towards a wall and goes right through it. And behind him, the camera pans back and doesn't see anything, but the soundtrack starts with an eerie low whistle. green sleeves being whistled, kind of looping through, and it cuts to somebody walking, a female figure, hood drawn, her sleeves are green, and she's walking at a slow
Of course
pace.
they are.
And this guy keeps ducking through walls, kind of just, hitting them and coming out the other side.
Is this a big guy? Is he small and squirrely?
He's about 6'4", but like maybe 130, 140 pounds, like fairly rail thin.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah,
Yes.
and he's looking fairly disheveled by this point. But
He's gaunt.
yeah, the female just keeps walking, almost as if she knows where he's heading. And
Okay. Let's go ahead and start inserting some mechanics here.
Okay.
So we can start getting that. Which might have the unfortunate cause of undermining some of the coolness.
Mhm.
I apologize in advance if it does.
it's okay.
Okay. What are you using to track this guy?
Probably Hunter Cabal,
Hunter Cabal? Okay, and what's your score on that?
15.
15? Okay. So how this is going to work, go ahead and roll the 3d20.
1, 3, and 12.
1, 3, and 12.
I'm gonna take the 15.
Yeah. Okay, so you how this works is you choose one of those dice.
Mm-hmm.
And in this case, anything that's equal to or lower than the score that you're using
Mm-hmm.
lets you use that score.
Okay.
So if you chose the 1,
Yeah.
you would increase your desperation to 1.
Okay.
And you would get a result of 15.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
So the lower the number, the better the score.
Not
Or-
necessarily. Basically what it means is that, let's pretend for a moment that Logan had rolled a 20 on there. If Logan chose the 20, Logan would add 20 desperation and would have a result of 20. Since Logan rolled a 1, Logan chose the 1, and the score on the sheet of 15
Mm-hmm.
is higher than the die that he chose, or that they chose, so they go with the
15.
15 on the sheet.
But I still only get 1 desperation,
Yes.
right?
How many desperation do you typically get per game?
Every time you roll, you're going to be adding to your desperation.
Okay.
When you
What happens when it's completely...
what happens is that if something bad is about to something bad might happen, you roll against your desperation to see if the bad thing happens.
So you could have very little desperation, roll bad, and then it's just as bad as if you had a lot of it.
Right. Or you can have a really high desperation, roll lucky, and you're fine. It's a gamble.
Okay.
Okay, so what do I get with 15?
For a 15, yeah, you are on his track. Is it smell? Is it a magical aura? What is it that you're...
It's foreknowledge of where he's probably going and also how he would like to travel there.
Okay. So I'm kind of picturing that you're actually going to be able to get ahead of him.
Yeah, I was actually going to say that he bursts through a wall into like kind of an alleyway. You know, it's mainly just between 2 brick walls that are separating the warehouses.
Mhm.
And he starts running down and he looks behind his shoulder and no one's there. And he turns back and Ein is there.
Okay.
And he takes a step back and then immediately throws a punch.
Okay. Are you cool with us cutting there?
The last part I was going to put, and purely for the introduction reasons, the punch hits the jaw, the head turns back, falls off of the body, with the hood pulling back.
Okay.
We can cut there.
So, yes, the camera gets a... I'm almost picturing, like, slightly slowed down from the side as the impact hits and the head...
You'd see like the punch land, and then like a cut to a view like of their feet,
Mhm.
and then a head just hitting the ground.
Gotcha. Okay. And then it goes to black.
Yes.
Okay.
With the sound of the guy screaming.
Nice.
We'll cut there.
Okay. Who's up next?
I can go next.
Go for it.
So I I'm not very good with camera views, but you see probably pinning behind me. I'm probably sitting in like a sedan,
Mhm.
and I'm listening to a TV radio, trying to listen to what the police are going on because I'm looking for a scoop.
Mhm.
Want to write for the tabloids. And can I tie back into our original cutscene?
Go for it.
I'd probably hear about the Collins, and they found 3 bodies down in the warehouse district going out. So I'd probably, I'm probably sitting outside of Old Town anyways because I know there's something always going on. It's party nights. You want to hear what's going to happen. I want to flick on my car, and as soon as I hear the sirens come back, you kind of hear like the Doppler effect as they drive by.
Mhm.
I flick on the car, and I drive up in that way.
Okay.
I don't know how often you'd have to do roll checks if I have to do that as part of an investigator, or
Go ahead and give me an investigate check.
okay.
Which in this case, like you could use intelligence or private eye.
I'll hopefully use intelligence.
Intelligence.
Well, no, I got 2 20s, so
Okay, so you can either choose the 14, which will give you 14, or you can choose a 20, which will give you a score of 20.
FYI, it looks like we have 48 slots for those who are wondering.
Yeah. And actually, that reminds me, before I forget, there are counters out here. So you have 2 options. One is to just like add as you go. The other option is
I'll do that.
okay.
Easier to keep track of.
So do I want a higher score to achieve whatever I'm doing?
Basically, the higher the score, the more awesome the result. So a 20 means that you are fucking blowing this out of the water. As you're listening to it, you would hear you start piecing things together.
Then I'd probably do the 20.
Okay. So you gain 20 desperation. For a 20, yeah. You know exactly where it is, to the point that you could potentially get there before the cops do. You have an impression of what kind of thing it is, which puts you ahead of me. But yeah. So what's the most awesome version of this that you can imagine?
So I'd flick on my vehicle. I know where the back streets are. I'm used to roaming around the old town looking for steps.
Mhm.
I'm going to immediately turn off on the road because I know that the cops aren't going to be following me there.
Mhm.
I speed down to the warehouse district. I'd immediately park behind a building that's quiet, dark, trying to keep my manifest on edgy, trying to be out there.
Mhm.
Flick off the car, grab my fake police badge. I'm going to run up where I see Sarah and Penny at.
Okay.
And I ask, I'm going to ask him, like, hey, I'm with the Wichita Police Department. I'm going to flash the car real fast, close it back up. And it says, hey, it's like, where are the bodies at? Go and tell me what happened. I'm here to help.
Okay.
But I'm going to look disgruntled because obviously I'm not a cop. I'm just here to get the story and try to beat
The
him out.
badge is actually like a plastic $1
Yeah, it's just-
general. It says like police force.
Picture of a little kid.
Hey, it's like, I'm here to help. It says, tell me everything you know. Tell me where the bodies are at. I'll get you help. What can I do for you?
Okay. Give me a either charisma or another investigator check.
What I do 3 again?
Yes.
Okay.
And this is to kind of convince them.
I'll choose the 14 because it's higher than my charisma at 12.
Okay. Sure. So.
I'm making sure that if something bad happens, I'm going to die first round.
Okay, for a 14, they're shaken enough that they're buying it, and because we're doing the quick intro scene, the camera sees Penny shaking hand, pointing over, and the camera pans to seeing the bodies, and we can either end that scene on looking at the bodies, or we can end it on your response, your expression.
All right, let me take a look, and then you'd see my eyes flicker up to like a bright kind of purplish color, because I am technically part of a demon's pack. So.
Okay, awesome. Actually, in that case, as your arcane or demonic vision flickers on, whatever happened here was in fact demonic, and you can. You can't place who it is, but you have a lead.
Cool.
Okay, and cut. Okay, who wants to jump in?
I can go next.
Okay.
So, Zira is dressed in, loose white pants, a loose white shirt, something you would expect from an asylum or possibly a hospital.
Okay.
And they're sitting down in a chair talking with someone about why their psychiatrist isn't going to be seeing them anymore. Turns out the psychiatrist has developed cancer, and the person's telling them, they really loved you, they hoped that they could help you, and hopefully, we can get you out of here. That's what they wanted most in the world. Zira, being the sweet baby they are like, oh, well, I can leave now. So to make them happy. So they just smile at them, stand up. They have no possessions in the world. They don't have any identification. They have no birth certificate, no nothing. But they just wave happily and walk out the front door. And, I'm a little bit of magic and miracles still going on here, even though, praise El Shaddai, they haven't spoken to me in 1,000 years.
Give me a roll to ensure that, because if I'm reading the room correctly, you're basically like you stand up and you walk out, and they just don't stop you. You're able to just walk out.
Just like,
what do you want to roll for to do that?
I would say maybe they try and stop me, but I'm going to use charisma.
Okay.
And actually, let me see which head is in control at the moment, because that might change things. So 3, that is Nesher the eagle. So Nesher is also, keeping an eye out to make sure that as they're walking through, people are either turning just the other way so they don't see them. They're trying to sneak out, basically.
Okay.
Because that's more Nesher's thing, I guess.
Sure. So what stat or passion or profession are you wanting to use for this?
I'm going to use deceitful. And I only have a 2 in that, so we'll see what I roll.
Okay.
Forgot about those.
The candies?
No,
Oh.
not the candies, but the.
Okay.
Yes.
So I have a 6, a 7, and an 11. I'm going to use the 11.
Okay.
You're fine enough.
And then I have a 12. Well,
I had to
actually,
calculate this.
I have a 12 in vision
So
for
it's
Nesher.
another-
So can I add that?
Another 0,
No,
16,
how that works
So,
Okay.
good and evil is your character on a scale.
is
So you'd split it just like you did for your forms.
okay.
So, if your
So
character's
for
inherently
vision,
good, you'd put, like,
you choose one
So
thing to
whichever's
roll
higher?
against.
yeah.
Okay.
So like
And
like
so
when you
if
think
what
about
you're
your
doing with
character,
vision was basically like
it would be
you
like,
know where people are
I'm-
and that
I'm
you're
most
able to,
likely going
then you would
a good person that want to help people.
what
I'm
you'd
not
want
really
to
gonna
do
follow the law.
Mhm.
is or
So
the
how do you
strategic
get the
thing
numbers,
would be if you
it's just
Or-
60. It's at
since
16. Minimum of 1.
vision is
15.
12,
Oh, okay.
You go with the
Between
7?
the 4, you're
Uh-huh.
dividing 16.
Yeah.
then
So-
because
okay.
this is higher,
I gotcha.
I'm gonna have to
you
read
have a
that.
result of 12,
Okay.
but you
Okay.
only add 7 to your
And then you just
desperation.
You can split it for both
Okay.
forms.
So
That makes more sense.
Okay, thank
Sure.
you.
And I'm just going to keep track
Do we
this
need
way.
to
I
go?
don't need the
Okay.
coins. I think this is going to be easier for me.
I just don't feel very good.
Interesting.
okay, for a 12,
Mhm.
how that plays out. Is everything okay?
I'm just having some heart problems. It's nothing major, but I need to go lay down if that's okay.
Sure.
I'm just gonna lay on the couch.
Okay. Would you like us to wrangle up a cat for you as well?
I'm sure one will come see me.
Okay.
They like me.
Very good. For a 12, how that plays out, and like the dice mechanic is a little counterintuitive, but I'm really interested to see like how it plays out in the long term. For a 12, you're able to kind of mentally envision where the people are, and you're able to kind of sneak around where they're not looking. But as you are just about to the entrance and exit, the person at the receptionist desk does see you
Okay.
and called out to you. How do you respond?
Depends on which name they say. They know here that I have multiple personalities.
Okay.
Or at least what they think is multiple personalities.
Somebody hand me a D4.
Would the receptionist know you that? Do you think the receptionist knows you that
I
well?
mean, when I was I've been a receptionist at a veterinary hospital, and I've been a receptionist at a Chinese medicine clinic.
Right.
And you kind of know who comes in and what their
Who's
issues
consistent,
are.
right?
Yeah.
Okay. Personality number 2.
Okay, so they're calling for Airy, which is the lion.
Mhm.
So I'm debating on with my character if someone calls the wrong name, if there should be a switch, or if I completely ignore them.
Okay. Well, this is your
So-
time to make that call.
Does anybody have a coin I can flip?
So would it be like if they compel
Oh,
you?
duh.
Like if they called a different name, does it compel your character to automatically switch?
Yeah.
They're the same on both sides.
Oh,
Just a even or odd dice roll.
okay. So even, I'm compelled to switch. Odd, I stay the same. Okay, so I stay the same. Nesher does not appreciate being called Airy.
Does he have a badass one-liner like, "He's not here right now, leave a message"?
Sliding door closes.
He's got a little button that goes beep.
Oh god. That's just always primed on the cell phones. Of beep.
You know what? I'll take it.
Okay.
Airy isn't here at the moment. Walks out.
As you do that, the receptionist gets on the phone and starts frantically dialing some numbers.
Okay, am I already out the door?
Yes.
So I'm out the door. I'm like, I have no money. I have no ID. I've got a little bit of an idea how the human world works. What do I have that's of value? And I know that when I preen, the angel feathers have just a touch of magical power left. So it's not anything big. It's like healing bruises and scrapes.
Mhm.
But maybe that could be used by someone. So,
You're selling your body.
damn straight.
First day on the streets.
So, they go to a corner and they're like, excuse me, I would like to sell part of myself. Who would I go to?
Oh, shit. This is good.
At that very, like, you walk up to a very, evens woman, odds man. A very confused middle-aged man.
Just a shot of their expression, like over their shoulder, and then cut.
And then cut.
I mean, like, I'm not unattractive. I'm androgynous. Okay.
Actually, go ahead and give me a charisma check.
My charisma's 10.
So if the die that you choose is lower than your stat, you get, like, 10 is the lowest that you can get.
Okay.
If you choose a die that's higher than that, then you get the higher result, but you also pay the cost.
Concern. If my charisma goes too high, does he try and buy me?
Not necessarily. It's more of a...
How they respond to this question.
The higher the
This
number, the
medical clinic's
better the
right on
result
South
for
Broadway.
you.
Yes. The higher the
Okay.
number, the better the result for you. So this is not a system where you can
Where to go?
easily succeed yourself into failure.
You're not going to accidentally marry an orc.
Unless you want to.
So I said accidentally.
So, the two highest numbers I have are 12 and a 19.
Go for the 19.
Okay.
Do it.
Yep. So
Okay.
I roll a 19.
Okay. We're not going to spend a whole lot of time on that, but with that, as that cutscene, like, as the scene cuts on the guy's expression, on the one hand, you are not very far from the psychiatric facility. But as luck would have it, he himself is an outpatient and is somewhat paranoid about the facility and is on his way out as well. And he takes an instant fondness to you and is willing to help you get to a safer place.
He recognizes the outfit. He's like, you don't want to go down that road, honey. I've been there. It's nothing but shiny clothes and glitter, and you spend all of your money on crack. Come with me.
He doesn't say it, but that's what he thinks.
His expression implies.
He heaves a hard thought about glitter and crack.
There's a moment where
Glittery
nothing-
crack.
That's how you make the big bucks. Okay. So that's where that scene ends. Who's up next?
Suppose I'll go.
Go ahead.
Okay, David.
So the scene
Or
opens.
Doyle.
Yes. So the scene opens up. It's like a dimly lit alley. There's a man with like a trench coat. He's got a hood and everything, and he's just sliding this bottle of pills to this person that he's selling it to, and they slide money to him, and then it pans back a little bit, and then hidden up against a dumpster, Doyle's overwatching this transaction taking place. As soon as the customer starts to walk away, Doyle slinks up behind the dealer and gets up close to him before saying, "So where are you buying these drugs from?"
Okay. Are you trying to surprise the dealer?
Trying to,
Okay.
surprise him and then try to get him to tell him what's going on.
Let's first do some sort of stealth.
Okay.
So what attribute are you using for stealth?
I suppose being a vampire, sneaky,
Inherently stealthy.
inherently
Yes,
dark
that-
area.
Appearing ominously and mysteriously out of the shadows is very much a vampire skill. Okay, so you roll 3d20.
Okay.
And
7, 7, 16, 9 for vampire.
okay, so 9 is the lowest. You can either choose one of your 7s and get a result of 9, or you can choose the 16 and get 16, but it costs more.
I'll just take the roll of 7 to have a score of 9.
Okay, so your desperation increases by 7. And you get a result of 9, which the way I'm imagining that is that the dealer kind of had a sense that they were being watched. How overtly are you being vampiric about this?
Not very, just appearing out of the shadows, just kind of inherently vampirish. to
Okay.
just, like,
So
appear.
you're not doing like the fangs or anything like that.
Trying
Yes.
to not give this man an idea of who I am.
The drugs.
the drugs!
On the
I
other
bought
hand, it might make
some
him
coke.
talk.
So more Anne Rice, less Bela Lugosi.
I want to snort cocaine.
Okay. So the way I'm gonna read that is that he knew that there was somebody there, but he kind of dismissed it as of no concern.
Random vagrant.
Yeah, like in this part of town, in these alleys, somebody's sleeping it off in the alley. What the fuck? Whatever. But as you approach there is a vibe that follows and like precedes you. That he goes from like being nonchalant about it to fuck, you scared me. Shit. Okay. Go ahead and give me some sort of charisma check.
Okay.
And if there's another stat that you want to use.
Charisma's probably the best.
Okay.
Oh, those are real low numbers. I guess
Oh.
the 3, so I can use 15.
Sure.
You can give those coins back and get just
Give
a
me
10.
Give me a, yeah, I'll just take a 10.
Okay.
Boom. Just one little,
Yes.
makes me feel not as desperate.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Show off. Okay, for 15, what are you doing to convince him? Are you just being outright frightening, or are you like, I want to buy?
Definitely, I want to buy.
Okay. All right. So he has that moment, like, and the way I'm kind of picturing this scene concluding with the 15 is he has that like jump scare, like, oh shit, fuck, man, dude, what the fuck? That's not cool, bro. But then as he realizes that you're looking to buy, like, there's a small part in the back of his mind that's going, this isn't quite right. Something is not right. But I'm a drug dealer. Things usually aren't quite right. Money! Fuck it! Okay!
That's about right.
Yeah, you can make the hookup. And let's see, This is one of the.
Yeah, I have one more thing.
Mhm.
He was like, "What do you want?" And he kind of just flashes like a big wad of cash, probably a bunch of ones with a $100 bill around the end of it. and he
They
goes,
took from
something
the
a lot
cash.
stronger than that. And he points to the little baggies the guy had.
It's money you took from the cash register at CVS. It's like, and you have to get like right back. Yeah, I gotta get this back in a half hour before they notice.
Oh God. Okay. So I'm gonna put this open-ended to the table if anybody has any recommendations, because I'm not quite sure how this part would play out. Because yes, you made the connection, and he's willing to get you in touch with somebody else. What does that contact look like? Like, does he take you? Maybe he takes your phone number.
A lot of the times, and this is in a sound bag, so it sounds like I do drugs, but
I left this open-ended to find out who's.
like one of my old managers is what he dealt like really hard drugs here in Wichita, and one of the things they would do is that if you made that contact, you get a number, and then a random phone number would text you, and they'd give you a meeting place, and it'd be somewhere that's inherently public,
Mhm.
and they don't ever do that like that movie thing where they drop it in a trash can. Like, no,
Right.
you're gonna see him face to face, but you're not supposed to ever publicly contact that person again unless you start dealing for him or something like that. And that's something he said, like, yeah, I'd send him a number, I'd use a Discord link or something where I could send it and delete it. Something like that.
That sounds good.
There you go.
I mean, if he dealt drugs, that's what he'd do.
Yeah.
So Doyle just slides him this phone number for some prepaid phone he has.
And you will be contacted with a meetup place down the line. Okay.
I can just see you like typing in the number and the screen cuts out. Or something like that.
Sweet. Okay, that's scene. Which takes us to.
Okay. So, Shay just arrived in town. And so she's getting set up at the hotel at Old Town.
Okay.
She's decided to, let's just say, purchase a suite there. Okay, this is not a night-by-night situation. She is loaded with cash.
Okay.
So she walks in acting like she owns the place. So
Or at least part of it.
yeah. She could own the place.
Or at least rent the place.
So she comes in.
Let's roll that back just a little bit
Yeah.
until I can have enough hooks on how you came about that money to use it against you. But we'll roll with the gist of it for now.
There's definitely some shady shit there. By the way, this so you bought from this dealer, right?
And buying from this dealer.
And
something,
the dealer
and
is
then down
local?
The line.
All right.
Right.
Okay,
So
might use that later.
If you're,
Alright.
if you're entwining, there is a future scene there that you could interrupt.
I have thoughts. Anyway, so I walk in acting like I own the place. I make arrangements to basically purchase this suite for an unending amount of time.
Okay.
And there's only one clerk at the desk when I come in and I make these arrangements. And I'm basically ordering that clerk around and saying, I need you to come up and set up all my things. So they go with me. Like, seriously, I'm acting like I own the place. Alright, so I go set up this suite and I've got like a couple of trunks of stuff with me.
Okay.
And so they set it up, so like put my clothes in the closet and everything like for me. Because I'm tipping them well.
Let's throw the mechanics in here.
'Kay.
What are you rolling for this?
Charisma.
Charisma? Okay, roll the 3d20, and if it's lower than if you choose a die result that's lower than your charisma, you use your charisma. If you choose a die result that's higher than your charisma, you get that.
Okay. I guess it's 16 because my charisma is 15.
Okay,
How
what
that
you roll?
works, I'm not really sure. I got a 16, a 5, and a 6.
Well, the
total.
lowest your charisma can be is a 15 in this
Right.
form, right?
Right.
So if you choose a lower one, you get less desperation,
But you still get the 15.
but you still get the 15. So there isn't much difference between a 16 and a
Oh.
15. So if I was you,
confusing.
I would choose the 5,
Okay.
and I'd let you have the 15.
Okay.
That's up to you, obviously.
Sure. I'll do
Remember, I
that.
also have 34 desperation.
Okay. So
Yes.
5.
Basically, one of the ways the way this,
The math on
I was
this is
originally
confusing.
designing this as a fantasy game, and the example that I gave is that, in this kind of like scrappy underdog sense, an inexperienced swordsman going up against the greatest swordsman in the world, right? Say the greatest swordsman in the world has an 18, and the scrappy underdog has a 3, right? Rolling, they both have the potential to roll a 20, but the guy with the 18 is incentivized to choose a lower die and thus top out at an 18, whereas the scrappy underdog knows they have to go all in. So, okay. So you went with, what's the total?
The 5.
So you got a score
To
of
get
15?
to get my charisma of 15. Yeah.
Okay. They're under your spell. Quite effectively. I think there will probably be more than one clerk working at the old town.
Okay.
But
Okay.
you'll have your pick of which one to do the arrangements.
Okay. So I'm getting everything set up, and while they're putting away my things, I'm asking them, so, tell me a little bit about, the city that I just moved to. Tell me a little bit about Wichita. Who are the people that are the big deal in this town?
Okay.
And are they... I'm trying to get a sense of who's the shady assholes in the town, basically. Like, like
Usually
who's
find
up
the
to
most
stuff?
powerful, and the shady will be right there.
Yeah.
Hey.
Exactly. So I want the big names, and then I'll figure out if they're good or evil later, basically.
Okay.
And anyway, I'm getting a little bit of scoop, and then I send them on their way. And I, what was I going to say next?
Jesus.
So as I'm getting
It's a weapon.
things set up,
This one's supposed to be an ice cube.
right, I pull out a smaller trunk that was kind of hidden amongst my things, and it has my weapons. And so I basically put some kind of spell on them to just hide them from plain sight.
Okay, so they can kind of be laid out.
Right.
Okay. I have specific rules for spells, but for simplicity's sake, we're just going to keep it as a simple roll. What skill or what attribute are you using?
My magic profession, can I use that, or...
Yep. That would be ideal.
Okay.
So roll the 3d20.
Okay.
You got a 20.
Yeah, I got a 2, 4, and a not 20, so I guess
So-
I only needed 2
You go with the 2, so you're...
to get my 8.
Sure.
Okay.
All right. You put a... okay.
But if you want it to work no matter what,
Mhm.
you can do the 20,
Mhm.
because it'll be like a getting a perfect roll in D&D. It's like it'll make it the
Yeah.
awesome thing. So
I know what a nat 20
okay, well
I
I was
also
well,
play D&D.
I was worried because it seemed like it's like wait a second. It's like you can do that if you want. It's just the desperation goes up.
This is more like a low level setting the scene. What
Mhm.
I mean, I'm assuming that if I'm going to be using these things, I'm going to have the upper hand in the situation. This is
Right.
more of a, in case the cleaning crew comes in, maybe they shouldn't see all the shit I
Right.
have.
Okay. So basically like a fairly low level spell that you're doing.
Yeah.
So you
Low
put
risk.
you put a the way I picture this scene ending, and if I'm wrong, you can correct me on this, but I envision you start doing the glamour over the weapons, and the clerk that was assisting you actually like comes back into the room they forgot to mention something,
Right.
and the camera looks from the weapons up to them, and then as it pans back across, the weapons aren't there.
Okay. So it was successful.
For that
Okay.
scene, yes.
Okay.
Against somebody that's actively looking for magical things, not as much.
Yeah, I was gonna say it seems like for a role of that level, it's more like not necessarily they're invisible. It's just makes it a lot harder to notice them. Like your brain can't actively like focus on these things. Like it's like either so incredibly boring to you or just so trivial that it doesn't seem to matter.
Yeah. So as my new hired peon has left again, that's what I'm just gonna call them.
Bus boy.
Basically.
Oh, jeez.
I use just a flick of magic to lock the door behind them, and I shapeshift into Kitten.
Okay.
And Kitten goes and takes a bath in the really nice garden tub.
Okay.
And that's the
I
best.
like
going to be
I
hell
like
to
to
clean
see
up.
I like the
The
image
kitten
of
likes
the
water.
like it's just like the
Tiger.
camera angle of the lower back of the legs. You see the towel unfold and drop, and as the towel covers up the camera, there's the cat.
Yeah, basically. Kind of what I was envisioning too, actually.
You see her calling the room service is like, why is my tub covered in fur?
We have to plug a lot of white hair. I pulled out a hairball this big from my drain. Ma'am, could it be yours? Do you see a white hair on this head? What are you inferring? I want to speak to your manager.
Maybe that's how she gets the hotel rooms for free.
She's actually dirt poor.
That's why she's a money mogul.
She's just
never paid
mega
for anyone to stay.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay, one thing I forgot to do, Randy, when Chris arrived on the scene, because you were directly engaging the plot and because you rolled really fucking well on your investigation,
Well, I mean, at what cost?
for everybody, the the individuality,
Yeah.
now has a score of 16.
Okay. So is it back open to people doing scenes or cutting back to their scenes, or
Or do we go back to the plot?
Sorry, 1 second.
Let's,
sweetie.
let's take a quick break,
okay?
so I can gather myself
Yes, I am.
and
Alright.
process.
All right, because mine's gonna be pretty straightforward.
Okay.
What?
Dude just punched her.
Yeah.
You already know what I'm all about.
Fair.
So I had a question
Yeah.
about how the scenes work. So the scenes are us moving towards in the direction of either that main quest or our own personal quests, and so it's kind of like a movie and like little flashes of us working towards those goals.
Yes,
Do
exactly.
you think that
Oh.
Val's going to be coming back to join the game?
Probably not tonight.
Okay, Mickey just got off work,
Okay.
and would it be okay if she did a quick character sheet and joined us then? If not, she can just hang out.
Yeah. Let's. I might have some extra. She's welcome to join. I might put a little bit of a twist rather than making a full character.
Okay.
Since we've done all the introductions for tonight, what I'll probably do is give her the ability to jump into another scene as a character that's in that scene.
Okay.
And because of the way this system works, basically, you should be rolling 3d20. Like, even if you don't have any stats predetermined, you can still roll 3d20 and choose which die result.
Sounds good.
So.
That's super neat. Actually. I like that.
Yeah, well, and like right now, you guys haven't actually experienced any downside to these choices, but
I think we're still
we
recording.
We might
by the way.
soon,
maybe.
but I don't know. I'm feeling kind of worried.
Of course you are.
I'm already at
Well, my next
28.
like 3 rolls are gonna be 3 nat 20s, and I'm gonna like get up to like 60.
So, oh, sorry, I had a question. So it says roll to see if a bad thing happens. When does that happen? When do we roll to see if a bad thing happens?
When I think it would be an interesting moment.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's what we're waiting for, is we're gathering these until that happens.
Right.
Is the scene is the scene-based style kind of conversation from like Monster of the Week? There's a game series, I don't know what it's called, but it has like the archetypes of like Chosen One, background character, magic user,
Okay.
angel, and they do stuff like that, like roll for like it's like roll, ask a question, and like you can roll, and if you do, it's like anything from 1 to 5 is bad, 6 to 9 is a mixed success, and then 9 to 12 is a perfect.
Sure.
And when they roll anything above like the 10 to 12, I said 9 to 12 when I said 5 to 9 at the same time, but from 10 to 12, they're able to ask 2 questions that the DM will answer.
Right. Right.
Is it kind of like that kind of system, but not as like role based?
It
It's
seems
more of a like theater of the mind, without having that forced interaction.
he ran a game system before called Vigil, and the idea was comic book characters. So everyone was their own leading role in a comic book.
Mm-hmm.
So you were creating your own comic book story, and you could set up your own scenes that progressed your own character.